And if you
Absolutely.
do that, then it becomes a game. I mean, what happens after you jump out of the airplane?
Well, for me, when I went skydiving, I was the last person in line. This was my first time skydiving, maybe I don't know, 3 4 years ago. We were the last people in line, and as I saw people moving, I was like, oh no, like I think I don't want to go anymore. And then the guy with me was like, well, it's a little too late for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of stuck my hands up and I said, oh, I don't think I want to like go right now. Like, can we just wait like an extra like 10 seconds? He said, okay, I'm going to count to three. And when I say three, we're going to go. Okay. Are you ready? And I was
Yeah.
like, yes. He said, one. And we jumped.
Yeah.
And it was the most insane
Okay.
fear for maybe 5 seconds,
Uh-huh.
maybe. And then it was absolute pure bliss.
Okay.
Like the purest bliss you could ever experience.
Can you use that metaphor and apply in the relationship? Have you experienced that breakthrough in the relationship in a similar manner?
Oh,
Where it was like a fear
absolutely.
to do it, but then
Absolutely.
you do
You
it,
need to
and after
go
it's
to
like,
the depths of the belly of the
Yeah, the
beast
belly of the
before you
beast.
can come out and come to, paradise.
and see the light and experience the light and the bliss.
Exactly.
And that's what happens in relationships. It's almost like you need to go through, face the fear, through the fear of the tunnel. The light is at the end of the tunnel of fear. I would say that.
Well, I think the truth is there's a light at the end of every tunnel. The question is,
Tunnel is fear.
the tunnel is the fear. The tunnel is the fear. And it's a
And-
matter of understanding, like, why maybe I can't see the light.
Uh-huh.
But if I know it's there, then
Uh-huh.
it's worth traveling. It's
Yeah.
worth traversing those fears.
Yeah, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And this is like, you either have faith in the light at the end of the tunnel, or it's best to have at least one jump out of the airplane, which I need to do because I'm using that metaphor a lot. So, I mean, I have to do that now. And then
It's a life-changing
see
experience.
the light at the end of the
I
tunnel.
100% recommend.
And that is, I think, what the breakthrough is that if once you do it once, you see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is a bliss if you play
You
it
know
right.
how to get there. You know where you're going. You know what it's going to
Exactly.
look like, what it's going to feel like.
And then you can keep reapplying it all the other facets of your life, because then you know what's the principle. The principle is face the fear, go through the tunnel, boom, light at the end of the tunnel.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's really important to understand that sometimes if you are acting out of the faith of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and you don't know whether or not it's there, you haven't seen it yet, you haven't experienced it yet, then an example of how you can do this is looking around you and seeing, what do I want to model for myself and what do I not want in my life, and seeing how what you currently have, how that might actually be a reflection of the positive or the negative, a reflection of what you want or a reflection of what you don't want. And so in that way, when we do that, we can then say, okay, here's a list of the things that I want for myself in a relationship. And I want these things because they make me feel this way. And they make me feel good, and they bring a certain level of happiness and growth into my life.
But perspective of the soul, not ego. Perspective of the heart, whatever we can call it. It needs to be genuine you, because ego may say like, I want to have this, I want to have this, and then you get it, and it's like, Well, the lesson would be I don't feel bliss. Like, I mean, okay, it was fun for a little bit, but now what? So if the ego is making a list, I think if the person is aware whether the ego is making a list or the heart is making a list, then that's great. Because then, of course, they're not going to chase something that is not even theirs for like a little bit of satisfaction rather than fulfillment. You see? So the list is very important. I mean, I would advise people making a list, make sure it's coming from the heart. And you may not want to do that because you may think that like, well, no, I actually want this instant gratification thing. And say like, this is what I want. Then you get that instant gratification thing, and then you find out that like you could become dependent on it rather than making a list and saying, well, is like what's gonna make me fulfilled? Nah, maybe not. Maybe, okay, I'm gonna be like happy and you're gonna show off in front of other people, but it's just gonna be I don't know, just for a little while. I don't know if I want that. I actually want fulfillment. So then you change that into something that's coming from your heart. And I think the list is so important to come from the heart. So whenever you write a list, I advise to write it. You better write from a deep meditative state or after the spiritual or psychedelic experience. Then you are more in your true self, and whatever you're going to write then, that's going to be your true path. Because you may want to scratch that new Lamborghini, Lamborghini. You want to scratch that, like Instagram model or something like that, and just keep on scratching and then you find what you truly want.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it's important to, if you're going to take anything from what we've talked about today, it's understanding that there are two places to operate from. One is fear and one is love.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of everything is, at the bottom of fear at least, there is a deep sense of hurt and boundaries that were crossed, and perhaps an inner child that was never fully tended to in some way. And so seeing, okay, if this person has all of this going on, they have the pain body, right? Is it worth it for me and my growth to help them uncover that for themselves? And what does that mean for me and my pain body?
Mm-hmm.
How our pain bodies interact?
Mm-hmm.
Are they pushing each other out of the pain body, or are they keeping each other in?
What you just said, you said my pain body. When somebody says my pain body, they no longer say I, because they no longer identify with the pain. They say my pain body. You see the difference? And then somebody's looking at their pain body from the perspective of as my pain body, not saying like, oh, I am in pain or whatever. I'm in emotional pain. You're living in the pain body. There's no help there. There's no escape from that. If you're there. But when you say, okay, I have a pain body, it's my pain body, and it's my karmic, inheritance, if you will, whether from your parents, and whether from the past lives. The parents usually pass the baton on to us and say, okay, this is what I did with my life. Here's your baton. Go ahead. Now it's your turn. And then when you inherit this baton, you say like, oh, some people may say, well, parents messed me up. And say, okay, parents messed you up. How about parents gave you an opportunity to resolve your karmic puzzle and grow? So it's a gift by your parents to you. Then you take responsibility rather than a victim. You take responsibility as a hero of this. It's like, okay, I'm going to play this now. I'm going to take, my pain body and my shadows, and I'm going to work on them. It may take me time. It can be fast. It can be slow. It doesn't matter. But I'm taking this thing. I'm no longer blaming anybody about it. This is my thing to do. Because if I do that, guess what I'm going to pass? All right, we're back live. So we had this little pause, little intermission, as they say. All right, you go. You said something about wrapping it up.
Yes. So honestly, I think that it's really important to understand that from all the things we said today, right, it's whether or not this person's pain body is helping you grow or not, whether or not you are helping them grow or not. Because if that's not happening, then it's probably not in your highest good or their highest good for you to be together at this time. Maybe at a later date when you're both more mature, maybe not. But at this time, you need to separate. Right. And the more inner work, personal work you do, the easier it will be for you to revisit that person at a later date. If none of those things are happening, right? If you don't see that trajectory right then and there. Yeah. But if you do think that it is in your highest good and that there is a chance that they are reflecting back to you an ability to grow within yourself, within themselves, and you do feel bliss in some ways, and you do feel true love and purpose with them, that's what you want to continuously manifest for yourself in every relationship, and especially in a romantic relationship. And that's exactly what a course that I'm designing right now called Divine Harmony is about. So if anyone's interested, that's something that I'm going to be releasing in a little bit. So stay tuned. And I think it's really important to be able to see, outside of the course, like what is the frequency that I'm operating from? What is the frequency the people around me are operating from? Moving out of this, cause and effect side of being the victim of what's going on, and releasing the need to feel something about what they're doing, instead of looking at how it's affecting you and how you can change that so that you can grow, so that you can move forward and progress in your life and ultimately experience the best out of life in any given situation with every card you're dealt.
So every time people get together, two people, there's obviously two pain bodies, right? And the more loving the relationship, the more connected at the soul, the more connected, soulmates, twin flames, and things like that. The more they're connected at the soul, the less tolerance will be for the ego, because the love is going to be strong.
I love that.
Yeah. And then you better grow fast.
So much.
Yeah.
You better grow fast.
You better grow fast. Yeah. And that's why these relationships are very, very passionate. There's a lot of turmoil there, you see. And sometimes people say, well, like sometimes people look at it and say, how can you be bothered? Well, because you don't get it. Because I found my soulmate. And it's worth to get to resolve the issues. It's worth to get rid of my pain body. It's worth to help to get rid of the pain body of my partner, so we can help each other to heal ourselves essentially and grow spiritually. And why do you want to do that? Because this is the person that you can experience the most love and bliss, and that is why you don't give up, and that is why it's the best motivator to grow as a human being. It's love.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's wrap it up with that. Put up here. Boya. Nice. So thanks, Rebecca, for showing up.
Thank you.
And I wish you luck with all the projects, and hopefully we can do a lot of good projects in the future.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.